quick, because they are important nonetheless, and they're not always intuitive. First thing, if you haven't done so, number one, get rid of the double tap dodge. If you're still using a double tap dodge, you're doing it wrong. There's no need for it in any mode. It's better to have a key assigned. So just go in your options, disable the double tap dodge, set up a key, one that is feels natural. It's easy to use. Where you're gonna assign that key, it's up to everybody. How you set up your keys. That's your business. But double tap, suicide. First, it takes 2 taps to actually dodge. Second, you have to lift your finger off whatever direction you're moving. That means you're stopping in place. And third, it will dodge sometimes in a random direction, not the one that you're tapping towards. So just get rid of it. The second thing is A and D keys. By default, the game has them turn left, turn right. Get rid of those. Replace it with strife left and strife right. There's absolutely no need to have turn. Not in WvW, not in any game mode. There is no benefit to it. And there's only the negative outcomes out of it. When you're turning, it turns you to the side, so if the enemy is in front, they're going to be hitting you. When you're striving, on the other hand, you're moving left and right, but you're still facing the enemy. So in terms of damage applied, if they're tossing damage at you from up front, it still counts as if you're facing them, so you're not getting flank hit, you're not getting hit from behind and whatnot. It's also much faster and lets you reposition. So those are the 2 most basic things that everybody needs to get done first thing that they get into WvW. No double tap dodge, and replace your turn left and turn right on A and D with strife left and strife right. All right. So I'm gonna go over a couple of more general concepts first for WvW, and then we'll go over a little bit more specific things. First of all, in WvW, this is a team sport. It's not a solo sport. It's not tennis. It is a team sport. It's sort of, think of it as a volleyball team. Everybody needs to do something to score a point, to score a kill, to score a win. Everybody in the sub-squad has their own role to play. And the first thing is, we stay together. Stay tight, because that's the only way we can hook each other's abilities together to produce the whole picture. So the tag is only the conductor. Everybody else is the symphony. That's who makes it happen. Tag only guides you along. So as you get better with movement, you can look to position yourself in the optimum positioning for the role you're playing, whether that be support, DPS, whatnot. But until you get to that point, until you get enough experience, you get comfortable enough, stay as close to the tag as you can. That's not always the absolute best positioning, but it is better to start from on the tag and then drop back a little bit at a time to your optimal distance than the other way around. First of all, you're going to live long enough to actually experience fights and start figuring out and acquiring that experience, so that when you see things happening, you'll be recognizing them faster and faster. And that's what's going to slow the game down for you. It's not that the fights are going to get slower. It's just that you will be recognizing what's happening faster and faster. But to do that, you need to be able to survive in fights and follow the tags. So that's your first job when you get into WvW, is to focus on your movement and positioning so that you can stay with the tag. Even, like I would say, even if you use only 1/10 of the skills you need to be using to begin with, just focus on that and get that down. Once you get down, you will find out that it seems that the fights or slower. And then you will notice that you can actually concentrate more on using your skills, using them at the correct time, and using them at the correct place. So having said that, in terms of actual positioning, if the tag's right here, melee classes need to be no further back than that. Then support sort of firebrands no further than that. And everything else, your backline, no, that's even a little bit too far. A little bit close, no further than that. So that's basically a little bit less than 1 dodge distance. Here, I'll dodge forward. You can see I dodged about 1 dodge. So that's 300 distance. Now the important part of that is that most skills, support skills and whatnot, are gonna be within 300 or less distance. So if you're further than that, you will be too far away to get boons, to get cleanses, to get heals or whatnot. That's why it's very important. Now, there's certain situations in which the backline can drop back a little bit further, and in certain situations you need to bunch up a little bit, sort of like a yo-yo. Think of it this way. So, for example, over here, we're in front of a choke. Now the enemy is gonna start try pushing the choke. We're gonna move up and try to blunt their push. Right? We're gonna apply damage in front. Now, we wanna concentrate our damage in one spot. That means that we need to bunch up together. Because if you're like 450 behind me, then the max range forward for you will be 450 less than the rest of the squad. So if we're trying to stop them over here on this choke, then you need to bunch up and come in closer. That has a second effect, that it lets us mitigate any damage that they apply a lot easier, because we got more bodies in the same area and hits will get split up. Secondary to that is how AoEs work. So for example, I'm gonna drop this just so I can show you. So imagine this is an AoE the enemy has dropped on top of us. Okay, there is a central point right here to the AoE, and it essentially looks for the 5 closest targets to that central point within the circle, and those 5 are gonna get hit. Then the next pulse, it looks again for the 5 closest, and it's gonna hit those 5. If it's the same people, it's gonna be hitting the same people. However, if you're just by sitting here, standing still, just tapping back and forth like this, left and right, just slowly, small movements, means you're moving your positioning just slightly. So any AoE dropped at our feet like this, and we have 15 people in here, it's gonna be hitting 5 different people every time, most likely, most of the time. So that spreads out the damage. Even though it has 5 pulses, it's gonna do 25 hits. It's gonna hit different people, and that allows us, through passive healing, to actually mitigate a lot of damage. So that's why whenever we're fighting, even when we push into melee fight, and sometimes you'll hear the tag, stay and grind, or cleave right here, stay on top of them. Do not sit in one spot and just hit. Just keep moving around a little bit, even if it is like this, small, just small movements around, staying together, not separating, but small movements, so that your relative positioning to any damage they put on the ground is being changed constantly to mitigate damage. That is when we are inside of damage. Obviously, we want to avoid damage as much as possible, and this is where dodging comes into play a lot. So let's stack right here, and I will show you this. So dodge is here. I'm gonna do 1 dodge, and I'm going to show you. So this, oh shit, I dodged the wrong way. Okay, This right here, that's 300 distance from the marker to me. It looks very little, right? It looks like we're very close, but that's quite a bit of distance. So I'm gonna do one more dodge. Crap. Here. Oh boy, okay. Let me regain my stamina and then try and doing this again.
You can do it.
I can do it!
You can do it, buddy.
Good training. Alright, so this is 600 distance, alright? This is essentially distance within which pretty much 90 to 95% of damage skills can be employed. Now this looks quite a bit of distance, but actually in terms of damage exchange, it's quite close. So that's how powerful dodging can be. Now, even though this is within the ability of all skills to be used, this is a 360 range, 720 from one end to the other circle. There's very few damage skills that are that big. Most of them are gonna be much smaller. So with 2 dodges, you're gonna dodge through about 90% of the damage that can be put out there. So whenever we are approaching for a hit or trying to reposition, a single dodge will get you out of, I would say, half to more than half of the damage on the ground. It is very powerful. It is the most important sustain skill in the game. It stops damage from all sources as well, because if you're not hit, there's not going to be any condies applied to you. So if you're finding that you don't have enough dodges, you're finding that you're using up your dodges, sometimes you're using your dodge to get back to the tag, whatnot, put some energy sigils on your weapons and get additional dodges by switching weapons. Keep in mind that in fighting, your first and most important job is to stay alive. Because when you're fighting well-organized groups, the fight's not going to be decided with one engagement. There's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even more. If you die on the first engagement, then any sustain or DPS that you can provide in later engagements is lost. So you're better off not using a skill in that specific moment, dodging, surviving, and be there for the second, third, or fourth engagement. That's more important than getting off a skill. So don't ever be greedy to get an extra skill out there. Make sure you survive first, and then you can use your skill. The skill's not going to disappear; it's going to be there. So, for example, enemy is approaching us, and we're going to actually shorten the distance, and I'll explain why that's done. So, enemy is approaching like this, and then your tag's going to say dodge forward. You dodge forward, and then you box. Reason? They're coming towards you and they're watching you, and they're going to drop their damage on top of you. So by dodging forward, you're actually dodging out of their bomb. Their bomb's behind you, but it's not hitting you. And now you're in close, and now you have your skills, and you can drop them on them. Now, whenever that happens, it means that you don't have the option to sort of dodge back afterwards right away and retreat. If you need to reposition again, you need to go left, you need to go right, it doesn't matter. Very important. Same thing on approach. If the enemy is aware of you and you're trying to get the distance in, they will apply damage between you and them. You can dodge through it and then bomb. Or if they're here and we're pushing through, for example, they're going to drop damage at their feet. You can dodge through them, turn around, and bomb them. Very important. Getting through that damage that they're applying is important, with the least possible damage that we have taken. Think of it this way. They have cooldowns, we have cooldowns. The fact that they have used theirs does not mean that we have to use ours at the same time. The main competition here is what are we gonna do with our cooldowns and what they're gonna be able to do with their cooldowns. And so it is our sustained cooldowns versus their damage cooldowns, and their damage cooldowns versus our sustained cooldowns. Numbers of players matter in engagements, but what matters a lot more is what we actually achieve with our skills versus what they achieve with theirs. And this is where avoiding their DPS means that we are using less of our sustain, and at the same time means that they have used their offensive power. And then it becomes a situation where we can deploy our DPS now versus their sustain, but we can stay on them more because we haven't used up all of our sustain. And that's how you gain advantage in the fight. You gain advantage through the cooldowns. Which brings me to the next point. So in a fight, let's say we're here, we approach, and I say, give me a shade spike in front, right? We're doing a range shade spike. That's intermediate damage skills, no big skills, but stuff, 10 to 15 seconds, whatnot. None of the elite damage, your biggest damage skills. Now at this point, we've used up a portion of our DPS. Let's say we didn't do much. They haven't used up anything. We're at a disadvantage. We need to gain time to recover our cooldowns so that we can even out the fight again. Even if they're smaller than us, right now they have more skills than us. So at this point, the tag will say, for example, show back, turn around. Show back and reposition. The reason we're doing this is we're not running away, we're gaining time. They have to traverse the space to get to us, and that is seconds ticking off until we get our cooldowns back. So it is important to do that right away. Don't sit and watch them. Just focus on the tag. Tag is giving you the spot to deliver damage. You deliver it, or you didn't. It doesn't matter. Tag says, okay, retreat now. Previous command, whatever you were doing previous is done. It's finished. It's gone. It's forgotten. You're repositioning right away. You move back and you reposition. Okay. Now, this leads me into the next thing. When we're doing repositioning, two things. S key is usually a bad key. There are few instances in which the S key is good and is used, and I'll go those over in a second. Most of the time, when you're repositioning, you want to turn around. W key is the one key that you're going to be using the most. The reason is you're moving much faster forward. You can see it right here. This is me moving forward, right? And this is me moving backwards. So when I'm moving backwards, I'm a very easy target. They can move left, they can move right, and they can deliver damage on top of me, and I won't be able to deliver it back very well, because they're moving around much faster than me. They can also drop damage behind. They're going to come in closer, drop it behind, and you're walking into damage, and it's a shit show. The only time you actually use S key is when you're trying to hold a choke, for example. So we're holding a choke, and we're sort of using the S key a little bit because the damage is right here, and we're trying to avoid the meat of it, but we're trying to keep a lot of damage up front. That's the only time, usually, that you're going to use the S key, and it tends to be more the front of the squad than the rest. If for any reason, during an engagement, just like this, you end up being in front of the tag, don't S key. Don't S key. Just turn around. You turn around right away, and you run until you get on the other side of the tag. The tag needs to be between you and the opposition at all times. That's sort of think of it as a what was that called? That thing that sort of measures whether things are leveled.
A level?
It's literally a level.
Okay, a level. So think of it as a level. You know how the little bubble needs to be in the middle, right? So you need to be always on one side of that bubble, and that bubble needs to be between you and the enemy. So think of it, left side of the level is the enemy. You need to be always on the right side, and the bubble's between you and the enemy. Okay, that was probably a bad example, I hope you guys figured it out. Okay. So when we're doing when we're doing repositioning, what you're doing is you're turning around, showing back, repositioning, then you can turn around again. And very important, when we're moving back, you can do a dodge, turn, reposition, turn, reposition, turn, reposition. That's where your strife comes into play. So do this real quick. You use your mouse to move sideways. Shift, move. 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 And you're doing much faster than any S key, and you can still deliver damage out front. Much better way of repositioning than using S key. S key makes you a very easy target. All right. Now, let me do. I didn't set up the markers. Usually I do. So. I'm going to try and give you an idea of distance as well, because that is the hardest thing to sort of the most unintuitive thing in this game. So where the marker is right now, that's 1200 distance. That seems very far, right? Well, at that distance, you can be hit. You can be hit, and pretty much a lot. Because that's a range spike. It's the longer range points of 1200 distance, but there's still enough damage that can be put. On top of that, if we move another wrong way, another 300 back here. Now this is 1500 from the marker. That doesn't mean you're safe though. Now there's some builds that have 1500 distance for damage delivery, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is that from that point there, a chrono can still pull you. Their pull is only 900. They can deploy at 900, so it would be deployed. Can somebody do 2 dodges here in front of me, forward? There, okay. So that's where the actual line will be. Here, I'll put 9 line. That's where the chrono line would be, and it can still pull you in, because it has a 600 range from the spot that it's placed. It's very wide, it's huge distance, 600 is very wide. So you have to be aware of that. That even if the enemy is where the marker is in front of us, they still have the ability to pull you in. So don't get relaxed just because they look far, and that means, you know, you can be relaxed and sitting in front of the tag and tra-la-la. No. You're still vulnerable. When the good thing about chrono pulls is that it puts a line which is sort of pinkish purplish that you can see. It will look like this, but it will be a different color. If you see that, that means that you need stab, you need Aegis. If you have stab and Aegis, pop it at that point, so that you don't get pulled if you're separated. Normally, if you're with the squad, you should have no problem, because you will have stab or Aegis at that point.
Stoich, you see that map callout?
What map callout?
Blizzard South Garrison.
Oh crap. Okay, let's go take care of this real quick. Who is it? Do we know who it is?
I mean, it's Monkey calling it out, so half chance it's not even real.
All right. Well, I mean, we're not set up for this, but it would be bad just sitting here and letting it happen. So let's see if we can do something. And we'll finish off. There's a couple more things I want to go over.
Stoich, you should talk about the camera, because that changed my whole gameplay.
I was gonna ask questions if that wasn't brought up.
Yeah.
It's completely insane. If you don't play with that, it changed completely the action cam thing.
Yeah, I'll go over that and about face and whatnot. I was working up on that.
Yeah, it's just
All
because it had such a big impact when you had done it last time. So.
I guess they're here.
The
Yeah,
water
they are.
gate.
Yeah, they're already over here. Stack it right here. Stack it right here. All right, we're not comped out right now, so stay tight. Advance and powers. Give me stealth in 3, 2, 1. Stealth, 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 stealth. Big step. Push out. Defenses go. Big bomb on this. CC them into place. Just roll it over, roll it over. Turn around here, turn around. Just leave it out now. Stop. Okay, good. Reverse, 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 reverse. Stay tight, stay tight. Just grind on this right now. There we go. Alright, just cleave out the downs. And golems and whatnot. Good job. Alright. Rep this, and then we can go and finish our training.
Back to the fight, my friend.
Alright, so what I was leading into with explaining about movement was two things. Now you have two options of doing this, and it depends how you feel better at it. For some people, one works better for others. Now you have about face, which is a key you can set up in your options. You can set up a key, and when you press it, it basically turns you 180 degrees around. Just instantly. So, for example, you're moving forward, you press a key, and it turns you 180. And you press a key, back. And so it's a very quick way that you can turn around. Second thing is, you can also set up action camera. What action camera does is, when you activate it, it centers your cursor to the middle of the screen. So at that point, whatever direction you're going, just as you turn the mouse, it changes the direction you go. You don't have to press a key, you don't have to do anything. And it helps also with damage delivery. So, for example, the tag calls for damage right there, you're facing this way. Now, normally, you'd have to start looking that way and turn that way before you can deliver damage. Now you don't. You just turn the camera and you can just pop the key right away. It helps a lot. Now, there is a bit of a problem with that, and that is when you need to deliver damage at your feet. Because when you turn down the marker, it doesn't get to straight to your feet. It gets to about probably 200 distance in front of you, which is a bit of a pain, and it does matter how they're on Bay now.
They've been on Bay for a while now.
It was only 8 gankers that opened it up and were fucking around on the walls.
Okay. So when you do action camera, that is the one thing you have to be aware. That is a bit of a it's a bit annoying dropping stuff at your feet. It's not going to be right at your feet. It's going to be a little bit in front, or a little bit to the side, or a little bit behind you, and you have to get a little bit used to that. Other than that, action camera is actually pretty good. If you can get used to it, I would recommend it. It really helps with movement, and it helps with speed of delivery of damage. Alright, just glide here. They said Lord. Yes, they are on the Lord. Okay. Advance, empower, give me stealth in 3, 2, 1, step, big step. Dodge in. Spike it right here, spike it right here. Oh, that's it? That's what was generating? Oh, back off. They're all the way at the back. Come to me up top, Stab right here. Turn around. Damage at the bottom here, Come to the side. Advance. Hollow ground, top of the stairs here. Alright. Hold it. Empower. Simple. And dodge one. Big bomb on this right here. And come to the side. We're gonna push down those stairs. In 3, 2, 1, push down now. CC. All damage go. Keep moving down. Full sustain. Reverse now. Reverse. Cleave it out right here. And push up. Finish it up. Don't worry about that bubble. Just heal, and cleave. Heal and cleave. Just sit on it now and cleave it out. Stop. Good job. The reason I waited out was to wait out their minions. And let's cleave the rest of this. Alright, let the pucks finish this out, and we'll continue our training that got interrupted again. So, about face and action cam are very important. They take a little bit of getting used to, but it will help your game a lot. Speed of movement and reaction will be improved a lot. All right. I guess we'll do it here. So, a couple of things. When hitting out of stealth, for example, again, this ties into the exchange of cooldowns. So we're starting here. We do stealth. Enemies there, they're not aware of us. We're approaching out of stealth. First thing you want is strips, right? You want the strips on top of them so that you strip any boons they have, stability, whatnot. Second thing you want is CC to lock him down, and third is damage. Having said that, however, it depends on how quick they react, whatnot. We might catch a lot of them, we might not catch all of them. You have to be aware that once we're on top of them, say we're on top of them here, we caught some, but we didn't catch all of them. Now the situation is reversed. Even though we came out of stealth and we had the initial hit, the surprise, now they're aware of us, and they still have all of their cooldowns, and we have used up a significant portion of our offensive cooldowns. So at this point, the next most important thing is repositioning, because they're gonna bomb straight back. They're gonna counter bomb where we appear for them. So they see us appear here, that's where they're gonna counter bomb, and we need to reposition right away. It's not a matter of whatever. It's right away. Even if we got a lot of them down, still reposition. It's good habits. If you're winning the fight in the first hit, it doesn't matter if you reposition or you don't. But if you don't, repositioning can be the difference between them being able to turn that battle around and keeping the advantage we've gained from the stealth hit. Either way, having the good habit of repositioning right away means that you're gonna win in a lot more fights, because whatever works in the worst case scenario is gonna work in the best case scenario, and not the other way around necessarily. Whatever works in best case scenarios doesn't necessarily work in other scenarios. So focus on what works in the worst case scenario, because that will actually help you win all the time. So, for example, we move to the side with a dodge. Single dodge. We deliver damage, single dodge. Now they're delivering their counter here, and all of a sudden, we have the advantage back, because our cooldowns are going to come back before theirs. We used up skills before them. We've generated some downs. They've used skills. They didn't do anything with their counter. Now we have the advantage and we have the drive, and we can keep up the pressure constantly now, because our cooldowns are coming off first, and we're delivering the pressure first. The second thing for this is, if they catch people with their counter, let's say we generated 10 downs over here, but with their counter, they catch 5 of us. Well, the end result is they're going to rally 5 of theirs, and we're going to have lost 5 of ours. So that's a tie. And we've used up our advantage coming, our surprise advantage. We didn't realize it. On top of that, if we are the smaller group, now we're right on top of each other, and they have the advantage because they exchange even. So that is why repositioning is so important, especially hitting out of stealth. That's something that often people disregard, thinking that coming and hitting out of stealth means that they've won the fight. No, the fight just begins. All right. So I will go over just quickly about damage situations and range, so that it's sort of more standardized and people can understand it. Now, usually you will hear some different commands. You'll hear haste damage, and you'll hear cleave. Haste damage refers to light damage, anything that's very quick cooldowns. Usually it's about the same things that cleave refers to as well, except the situation is that cleave is usually called when there's downs on the ground, and you sort of cleave them out.
Well,
So again,
stop.
sorry?
Whoever's inviting me to the squad, leave me alone.
Okay.
Stop.
So again, within 600 distance, which is about that, right there, in all directions, you don't need to be on top of the downs to actually cleave them down. You can just drop damage from this distance. Most builds will be able to drop damage within this distance. You can approach a little bit and you still cleave out. You don't need to be right on top. There's two reasons for that. First, whenever there's downs, whether that's our downs or their downs, the enemy will be focusing them as reference points. So they have a down here, we go in to cleave it, well, they're gonna reference focus their counter bomb here. And if we do not cleave this down quick enough, somebody gets down from us, he gets a rally. And so that's a bad one. Don't ever separate from the squad to finish downs, unless the fight's already finished and we're in mop-up, which is completely different. If the fights keep on going, even if there's downs all over the place around you, don't get separated. You can drop like a skill on the side like that as you're moving, just to put some condies or run onto them so that it keeps cleaving them out. Don't worry about the downs. They're done. They're out of the fight. They're not active. Even if they come back, they're easier to bring down for the first few seconds when they come back. Don't rally them. That's the most important thing. If you separate and you go to kill this down right here, and your squad moves off, you get separated. Now there's a couple more people over here, let's say, that were left behind with the push. They hit you, they down you. Well, it's a net loss. First that guy's rallied, then you're out as well. So stay with the squad. The tighter you are, the better advantage you have completing the kills and capitalizing on what you have created. All right. Now, actually, it's good that we're here. I wanna give you just a little bit more on sort of topography and geography, just so you get an idea. So stairs, for example, and in general hills or whatnot, ANET cannot code vertically, so keep that in mind. Now, in normal situation, distance like this distance is fine, right? Being that far behind the tag is fine. On stairs, it's not. On stairs, you need to be right on top, and there's a reason for that. Vertically, the game is coded really poorly. So if I can get somebody to sit right here on this marker. No, just one person. Just one person, please. All right, 2 people is all right. So you're there, and at this point, my mantras are not affecting them. They're only about 150 to 180 distance in front of me, but my mantra are not gonna affect them. The reason is because they're too high up above me. Same thing below. It is really stupid. The game is really poor at vertical. So when on stairs, very important, do not be further back down, do not be further back up. You gotta be right on top. That's when you're gonna get your support. Generally, you don't want to be sitting here too much, for that reason, because it's very easy to be out of position and very easy not to see that you're out of position and not getting support. Opposite thing, up top, line of sight. So if you're over here, you have full line of sight all the way to bottom of the stairs, right? You can deliver damage all the way down. Whoever has 1200 range can hit all the way on the marker. Okay? Now, let's go back down, and I'll show you the opposite. You can only hit the front here. You cannot hit where the rest of the squad was before. Reason? You don't have the line of sight. So, these are kind of things. We are equal distance from each other. They can hit us, we can hit them, if they're positioned correctly. So, on stairs, for example, like this, you want to be behind the top of the stairs. You don't want to be right here. If you're right here, you're right in their bomb. We can bomb each other, but they can bomb you still. Full bomb exchange. If you're over here, you're avoiding most of the damage. Some will still hit you, but you're avoiding most of it while still being able to apply all of it on top of them. So these things are important in terms of positioning. This is usually what the tag is looking in engagements like this. And the last one, I'll go over this for chokes, and we'll finish it there for today. And corners. So if we come here, this corner right here creates a sort of a choke. Now this is a little bit wider, but it still creates a sort of a choke. Why? Because they have to traverse this corner right here. They have to go through this to get to us. And this creates us a choke position. Now this is a very good one because the way it is, it's not straight up, so there isn't a wall over here to limit our movement. So we can reposition really quickly as they try to push in and get out of any damage they do and still apply our damage here. And if they turn, we can reposition one more and still be out of their damage. So this is a very advantageous choke position. What I want to focus on, however, is this. Line of sight here for us is straight like this. Now this is a little bit short here, so you can sort of tilt your camera and still be able to see a little bit further in and even deliver a little bit of damage to the side there. And normally this would be a wall, but you still have a line of sight situation. So this is your line of sight that you can deliver damage in. You can deliver damage deep here, you know, all the way, almost all the way to the wall, but it is in a line. So there is a spot to the side here where you cannot really deliver damage, or you're delivering a little bit of damage on the outskirts of your kills. So that's where choke play comes into play. Don't try to be on the side here and seeing them. This is where you'll be straight in their line of sight, straight in the line of damage. Stay with the tag. The tag is positioning you for that reason. We're dropping damage here, and now they have to choose whether to go through damage to get to us or keep the same position. It might be a standoff where everybody's delivering damage in the middle and nobody is attacking, but that's better than moving to the side and so that you can deliver damage on top of them and getting melted. That's where discipline comes into play, and where wideness of the battlefield matters. Now, in conventional military terms, a wider battlefield is better because you create a bigger area that the enemy needs to contest, and you can create an advantage. Unless you spread too thin, then it's a disadvantage. But in WvW, it is the opposite. You don't want to be wide. You want to be thin and tight in. So if the tag's here, you don't want to be here, and you don't want to be here. Main reason, at this point, depending how the fight's going, the tag might need to reposition left, and now you're way too far and you can't make it back. Or reposition right. Again, if you're over there, you're too far and you can't get back. If you're further behind over here, you're still okay in that situation because you're still one dodge away and you can even tuck in. But if you are to the side, really hard. Now when you're back there, the only problem is when the push through happens. So if there's going to be a push through, and this partly goes to knowing your tag, but also following commands. So for example, the tag is telling you we're going to push in 3, 2, 1, and your DPS class, you're a little bit further back, tuck in. Getting close now. Prepare for that push. Because you need to be in close. If you're too far behind, you'll get caught. So keep those things in mind in terms of movement. You're fine being back there like this distance if you're a DPS class normally, but when there's going to be a push, you need to tuck it in. All right. Any questions?
Squad chat.
Squad chat. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's
Holy
fine.
Strike, yes. Holy Strike does not create a pop. The pop is for the scrappers. What was it? Which one was it?
Med 5.
Yeah, Med 5. That's the one that makes the pop. Now, I sometimes ask for those pops on purpose, just so that the enemy thinks that we're stealthing, and to see their reaction, or maybe to use up their counter stealth. And then I'll do stealth afterwards and hit him. So yeah. What was it? I was gonna say something else in that respect, but I forgot now. I was gonna add something and I forgot. Well, shoot any questions you have.
Yeah, Stoich. About when we are up here, it says that I cannot use symbol of swiftness from up here without line of sight, but I can use Holy Strike.
Yeah, symbol of swiftness is a little weird. You need to be closer, but you can use the other one.
Okay.
It's a programming issue. So there is some skills that you will not be able to use. That's true. But generally, from this point, you can actually deliver when they're down there, they have absolutely no skill that they can deliver up top here. They can deliver on the edge right here. They can place their skills on the edge, and so it will radiate out from there. So some of it will be catching us here, but it's gonna be just the edge and small, and you can sort of back, just slightly and come back, and you're fine.
Oh, okay.
But generally, when you're in the higher position, you have that advantage of line of sight, because looking down, you can basically place your skills anywhere, whereas when you're looking up, you're not always able to place the skills. Southeast corner of Bay, okay. Let's go check it out. Any other questions? Please ask away. I might have forgotten to go over something. If you can remember something important that I have missed, do prompt me.
Did you cover the returning back to the tag, don't run through damage?
Right, yes. That's what I was gonna go over. Okay. So come over here. Alright. So we have this situation, right? We're all here. And now we sort of did a half push through or whatnot, and we're over here. Okay? So somebody got caught for whatever reason, or maybe it's a rally. It's there. The enemy is delivering damage in between us, right? Enemy somewhere here. You're there. Don't take the straight line to us. Take it wide. Take it in an arc. Around that bomb. If you don't have dodges to dodge straight through to get to us, take it in an arc. The reason is you're not going to be able to sustain running through damage, and usually that's going to be their damage. Usually that happens when we're engaging straight on, and then we'll do a sort of a dodge to the side to avoid their damage. You might have dodged the wrong way, or you were on the tail and you all of a sudden cut off.
Who's on the Northwest Tower Lord?
Oh crap! Oh, it's gone. So that is important to keep in mind. The straight line is not always the best option. You want to get back to the tag as fast as possible, but don't go through the main bomb of the enemy to get there. Anything else I'm missing and I'm forgetting?
By the way, if you're looking for the action camera, it's in the controls, the actual key bindings. It's not intuitive, and you can click, find the button to turn it on and off quickly if you need to.
Yeah, you do need to create a bind. It's not by default, and then use it. All right.
Yeah, I'm finding my left shift button myself to do it.
Wait, Magrio, you're in another squad?
Yeah, I have to go back to work. I just want to come to the training. Right. I'll be back in a bit. It sucks, but it's life.
Yeah,
Talk to you guys later.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. If there's no other questions, we'll go into our regular run now.
I'll see you guys in a bit.
Have a good one.
Where's our firebrands?
Where's our firebrands? Oh my. We have 2? Alright. Alright, well let's see. We'll do food here.